Okay, so here are the answers. You can pause this video to get all the answers. There's 1 through 6, all right, 1 through 11, 12, 13, 14, and then the bottom. Again, pause the video. I'm going to move on. All right, show that each conditional is false by finding a counterexample. I'm telling you these are false, so you need to prove them wrong. Counterexample is prove it wrong. So, if a number is divisible by 5, then it is an odd number. Is there a number divisible by 5 that is not odd? 20, 10, 30, we could go on. Any of those numbers are divisible by 5, but they're not odd. So that's your proof. That's an example that's proving it wrong. If something is a bird, then it can fly. Can we prove that wrong? What? A penguin? Can penguins fly? A penguin? But it has to be a bird. Chickens can fly. A flamingo? And I'm going to say an ostrich, but I can't write that out. Okay. If an animal is, hello, if an animal has 4 legs, then it is a horse. Yeah, I'm recording too. It's okay.
Sorry, I was going to get you to sign these, but you can sign these whenever you have a chance.
Okay, I'll sign them later.
Okay. I just want to turn them today.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. If an animal has 4 legs, then it's a horse. We said false. What's the counterexample? Louder? A bear, a pig, a dog. It could be anything that has 4 legs that is not a horse. I want to write the converse of that. So now you got to know this C word. What's converse mean? It means you switch it. It's the opposite. So instead of if an animal has 4 legs, then it's a horse, I would write if an animal is a horse, I'm switching it, then what? It has 4 legs. So I just switched it around. Now, is that true or false? If an animal is a horse, then it has 4 legs. That is true. So am I going to have a counterexample? No. All right, next one. Find BD. When it looks like this BD, what am I asking for? I'm asking for how long it is, the length. So B to D, if I'm at -1 and I go to 5, how long is that? 6. Find the length of AC. Again, it's asking for the length. So from A to C, if I'm at -27 and I go to 3, how long is that? 30. And then find the distance between BE. Again, all of these are asking the exact same thing. So B to E, if I'm at -1 to 12, what's that distance? 13. Okay. Real quick, what if I asked for the midpoint? What's the coordinate of the midpoint of BE? What would be the midpoint for BE? What would be my midpoint coordinate of BE? Well, B to E is how long? 13. So the midpoint would have to be how far away? Half of 13 is 6.5. So does that mean my midpoint is 6.5? No, remember, you have to go 6.5. So if I'm at -1 and I want to go 6.5 away, where am I going to end up at? If I'm at -1 and I want to go 6.5, where do I end up at? What's -1 plus 6.5? 5.5. Does that make sense? Okay. Determine the distance between the given points. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this one so y'all can see. So I have to do distance formula. Oh, that's spelled wrong. Oops. So my distance formula is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And it does not matter which one you do as x and y. Do you agree? So, I'm going to do negative 3 minus 7 squared plus 2 minus 10 squared. Do y'all agree? What's negative, oh, square root. Don't forget that. What's negative 3 minus 7? Negative 10. And what's negative 10 squared? 100. Y'all see how I just went from there to there? What's 2 minus 8? Oh, gave you the answer. What's 2 minus 10? Negative 8. But it doesn't matter that it's negative. What's negative 8 squared? 64. What's 100 plus 64? 164. Now, I don't know. Does 164 divide by anything pretty? Try 4. So 164 is 4 times 41. What's the square root of 4? 2. So it's 2 square roots of 41 is my answer. Oh, is that what you're saying? What? No, so what I did is I divided it by 4 and I got 41. What's the square root of 4? That's where I got that 2 from. Yep. Okay. So you want to divide it by a number that's a perfect square. So remember, your perfect squares are like, what's 2 times 2? 4 is a perfect square. What's 3 times 3? 9 is a perfect square. You want to, so 4, 9, 25, 36. Those numbers, you want to see if it'll divide by. Okay, 16. So we'll do another one. Hopefully this one works out too. So this one is the same thing. I'm just going to, instead of writing it out, I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. Negative 1.4 minus 5 squared plus negative 2 minus 4 squared. I have no idea what negative 1.4 minus 5 is. Okay, and what's negative 2 minus 4? Negative 6 squared. This is what I have no clue. What is negative 6.4 squared? $40.96. And what's negative 6 squared? 36. So when I add those together, I get the square root of 76.96. If it's a decimal, you can't simplify that. So I'm just going to do that in the calculator. And this is my final answer. Does it say to round? We're going to round to the thousandths. Okay. Do I have any questions about that? Distance formula is okay? Y'all have quite a few of those on there. All right, next one. This is just, can you see which one's bigger or not? How big is E to F? How do you get from 33 to 80? Plus 47. How big is A to D? Negative 29 to 24. 53? Whose is that? Larissa's? No, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure. No, that's not yours. Let me pause this real quick and figure out. Are we unpaused, right? Okay, unpause. Okay, so whew, let's do this again. Okay, so CE is how long? Oh, which one's bigger? 53, so it's like that. All right, CE is 30, what? Nope, 20 what? 27. BA is, 18. So which one is bigger? C. And then DE is 9. And BC 17. So like that. Y'all cool with that? Okay. Alright, for this one, you're going to have to do distance formula for each of these. So I'm going to real quick, just to make life easy, go through and write which point, like where they're at. Like A is at -4, 2. E is at -4, -3. G, H, you can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was easy. If only they were all that easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's at 1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4. And that's at 2, -1. Okay. So I'm going to be doing distance formula for each of these. So I'm going to write -4 minus 1 squared plus 2 minus 4 squared. Are y'all okay with that? And if I make a mistake, correct me because it happens. -4 minus 1 is how much? -5 squared is 25. 2 minus 4 is, squared is, no, you said it was -2. Squared is, so then this gives me square root of 29, and I can leave it like that. Okay, going to do the same thing with BC. 1 minus 2 squared plus 4 plus 1 squared, because it's a -1. What's 1 minus 2? -1 squared is, then 4 plus 1 squared. Squared is 25. So what's 1 plus 25? Ooh. Okay, CD is 2 minus 4 squared plus -1 minus 4 squared. 2 minus 4 is squared. -1 minus 4 is squared. And that gives me the square root of 29. So what do I know right now? AB is congruent to CD. Okay, we got one more. Bless you. EF. See, once you do distance formula like 50 times, it becomes easier. E to F is -4 plus 1 squared plus -3 minus 1 squared. What's -4 plus 1? What? Squared? 9. And then what's -3 minus 1? Squared. And what's 9 plus 16? And what's the square root of 25? 5. So now what do we know? Okay, and what else? Those two are congruent as well. Do I have any questions about, I did that really fast, so does anybody have any questions about what I did? You good? You good right there? What's your name? Louder? Leslie? Ooh, I'm going to have to read it. Alright. Let's be. Okay. Alright. This one right here, number 40. Is this midpoint or between this? Why is it between this? I don't know that it's the midpoint. There's no indication that it's the midpoint. So that means I just have to add them together and make it equal the whole. So it would be 10 plus 5x. What's the whole thing equal? 50. And then you just do the algebra of solving. Subtract 10 from both sides. 5x equals 40. So what is x going to equal? 8. And now that I know that's 8, and we already knew this too, if this is 10, what does this side have to be? Because the whole thing's 50, this side would have to be 40. Yeah. That one was easier. Alright, my next one. What kind of problem is this? Midpoint. How do we know that? Okay, so what can I say about these two sides? They're equal. So then that tells me that 2x plus 4 is going to equal 3x plus 1. Does that make sense? Huh? Okay. So then I'm going to keep it like positive, I'm going to subtract 2x on this side. And then I'm going to move this 1 by subtracting 1. What's 4 minus 1? And what's 3x minus 2x? So x equals 3. These are all going to be x equals. And then can I go over here and plug back in? What's 2 times 3 plus 4? 10. What's 3 times 3 plus 1? And shouldn't they be equal? There you go. And the whole thing equals 20. Alright, number 42, I'm going to save till the very end because that one is long and I want to actually take time. I want to get through everything first. Number 43, what type of problem is this? Oh, 43. This is again midpoint. How do we know? And it doesn't really matter. You see how there's 2 of them? That doesn't matter. You could just put 1. Like, it doesn't matter how many there are there. So what do I know about these two things? They're equal. 5x plus 3. Are you okay with me distributing this out? What's it going to equal? Yeah, make sure you put plus 30 and not 15. Okay, and then I'm now again going to solve. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So that goes away, and I'm going to get rid of this 3. So what's 5x minus 2x? What's 30 minus 3? And when I divide by 3, what does x equal? So if x equals 9, what's 5 times 9? 46, 47, 48. And what's 9 plus 15? 24 times 2 is 48. So it works. $44, between this or midpoint? Between this, there's no little indicators. So I'm just going to add these together and make it equal the whole thing. 2x plus 4 plus 7x minus 7 equals my whole thing of 8x. How can I reduce this left side? I can subtract 9x. Negative 3 equals negative 1x. So what does positive x equal? Positive 3. Because remember, you can just, what you do to one side, I can do to the other. Now that I know that, I can plug in. What's 2 times 3 plus 4? 10. What's 7 times 3? Minus 7. Use your calculator if you need to. I do too sometimes. No big deal. And then we got to find the whole thing. What's 8x? What's 3? I mean, x is 3, so what's 8 times 3? 24. Does that make sense? Everybody okay? Okay. This one. What do we know? It's midpoint. They're equal, so I'm going to set them equal. 2x squared minus 7 equals x squared plus 29. So this one's actually, normally if you get an x squared, you would make it equal 0 and solve for it. But when you only have x squared and no x's with it, we can just solve it out like this. I'm going to bring my x squareds together and my numbers together. What? So it's, yeah, I'm moving it right here. It's positive x squared, negative, yeah. And so those cancel out right there. And these 7s cancel. Correct. It ends up being a perfect square. So I could square root. And what's the square root of 36? And negative 6. Because it can be negative. I'd probably count a point off. Because if I plug in negative 6, it's still going to work. Okay? And we can plug in 6 here. 2, 6 squared. Thank you, Leslie. Okay. Thank you. And that gives me 65. And then I'm going to do it to the other side as well. What was it? Plus 29. And I should get 65 again. Does that make sense? You like me plugging it in? It's easy, right? You don't have to do all that. Alright. This one. Between. There's no indicators. So I'm going to do these a little bit quicker just because we've already done a bunch of them. Are you okay with that? So I'm going to add them beforehand. That's going to give me 3x, and it's going to give me plus 16 equals 40. 3x equals 24. And then so x is going to equal 8. And from here we can plug in 2 times 8 is plus 21. And then what is 8 minus 5? And does that make sense that 37 and 3 is 40? It is, right, but you can't take that for, just because it looks bigger doesn't mean it is. This one, betweenness or midpoint? Okay, again, I'm just going to do this quickly. I get 2x plus 30 equals 4x plus 8. That gives me 22 equals 2x. So what does x equal? 11. And then we can plug in, what's 11 plus 20? What's 11 plus 10? So what should it all add up to? And then 11 plus 2 is, and it's 13 times 4, 52. It is. Okay. Midpoint. This one's a little bit weird. A little bit, but not much. 12x plus 18. It's midpoint, so they're going to equal each other. We have a quadratic that has an x squared and an x. So we have to make it equal 0. So I want my x squared positive, so I'm going to move everything to the other side. That's going to give me 6x squared minus 12x minus 18 equals 0. Just because we don't like our x squareds to be negative. If you were to scoot it up, it would be fine. We just don't like that. Like, it just makes it for a little bit more complicated problem. What do you notice about all of these? I can divide them by 6. And if I divide them by 6, I get x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. I'm going to do this on a sticky note so I don't go into my other one. Now you can do the box, or you can just factor out. What's the only way to get x squared? X times x. And actually, there's only 2 ways to get negative 3. How can we get negative 3? 1 and negative 3 and negative 1 and 3. What do I want them to add up to? Negative 2, my middle number. Which one of these adds up to negative 2? So positive 1, negative 3. So, sorry. So if it's x plus 1 equals 0, what does x equal? No, what does x equal right here? Negative 1. Remember, you have to do the opposite. And if x minus 3 equals 0, what does x equal? 3. So my answer is negative 1 and positive 3. Now, we haven't really talked about this because we haven't done as many quadratics in class. But if I put in negative 1 here, 12 times negative 1 is what? Negative 12 plus 18 is 6. That works. So negative 1 is a working number here. We can use it. Okay? So if this side is 6, what should this side be? But we also have to plug in 3. What's 12 times 3? Plus 18 is 54. So that means there's two answers, 6 and 54. Does that make sense? A little bit? On your test, again, right now we're not going to give, I don't think I'm giving you these big of quadratics. Eventually we'll get there. Okay, last one. Ooh, what type of problem is this? Midpoint. Do you want to see that? Or are you not working on that? You're working on it. Yeah, but I only have one side, so I can't make them equal. But they are equal. So if this is 3x plus 6, what's this? So then what would I do? Do I make them equal? No, because that's just telling me they're the same. I already know that. What can I do? There's two of them, and what do I know they should add up to? So I can add them together, and then I end up doing between this work, even though there's midpoint. I get 6x plus 12 equals 60 minus 2x. Does that make sense? So then I'm going to add 2x, which gives me 8x, and I'm going to subtract 12, and 60 minus 12 is 48. What's 48 divided by 8? 6. What's 3 times 6? Plus 6. So if this side's 24, what should this side be? And what should the whole thing be? 48. And again, you can check it by plugging 6 in and making sure. Louder? They're not as big as tests, but they're bigger than daily grades. No, I'm grading after this. But I'm grading after this, so I have no idea what you got. I haven't graded them. Okay, helicopter T is there and needs to fly to the nearest hospital. There's two hospitals, one at U and one at V. How do I know which hospital they should fly to? Distance formula, and what? How would I know which one to fly to? I need to use where the helicopter's at and the hospital location. So TU is the first hospital, and where's the other one he could fly to? No, TV, because the helicopter might need to go to that one. So I'm going to do 80 minus 20 squared plus 20 minus 60 squared. What's 80 minus 20? And what's 60 squared? A really big number like that. And what's 20 minus 60? Negative 40. And negative 40 squared is? Okay, remember, if it's squared, it's going to be positive. And then that adds up to 5,200. I'm not going to worry about you simplifying because it didn't ask for the distance. It wants to know which one he should fly to. So we'll get to that. Now I got to do the helicopter to the other hospital. So I'm going to do the same thing. $80 minus 110 is negative 30. Squared would be what? Larissa, do you need help? Come here real quick.
Oh yeah, I just forgot the first part of
Rise over run.
Oh, and then you multiply it.
20 minus 85 is what? And I have no idea what negative 65 squared is. 4,225. When I add those together, because I'm going to, that is what I get. Which hospital should the helicopter fly to? Why? It's less, and don't you think you'll want to get there faster? I mean, hypothetically, if you're in a helicopter needing to get to a hospital. 51, I just want you to write the distance formula. You didn't need to do anything with it except fill it in. So you could do z minus y squared plus negative 7 minus 4 squared. Or you could have done y minus z squared plus 4 plus 7 squared. Those are the exact same thing. You can switch around the first point and the second point. All right, we got 3 more. We're almost done. If I want to classify this triangle, I have to know how far each side is. So AB, BC, and AC. AB is super easy because I can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that one's easy. For AC and BC, I actually have to figure it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's at 0, 4. That's at 0, negative 2. And that's at negative 4, 0. So I would just do what? How would I figure out what kind of sides they have? Distance formula. And we've done this a bunch, so I'm just going to do this. Wait, what? To practice simplifying, how do you get 20? 4 times 5. And what is the square root of 4? So it's going to be 2 square roots of 5. Okay. And then AC, I'm going to do the same thing. Some of y'all, not really. And then how do you get 32? So this one's a little bit harder / You're good to go. Or you can chill and watch. 32, I know that it divides by 4. So you wouldn't necessarily be wrong. But there is a bigger perfect square that 32 divides by. What is it? Eight's not a perfect square. 16. And so then you get 16 times 2. What's the square root of 16? 4. And so usually people ask me, they're like, how do I know not to do 4 and how do I know to keep going? If you were to get, I'm going to side note right here, if you were to do 4 times 8, that gives me 32, right? Well, then you would get 2 square roots of 8. 8 can keep going, because what's 8? Right, but can't 8 become 4 times 2? So you would have to keep going. That's why I want you to find the biggest perfect square, so you don't have to keep going. Okay? All right, 3 more. Find the midpoint of the segment if I give you both endpoints. What's midpoint formula? Ooh. x2 plus x1 over 2, comma, y2 plus y1 over, and really it doesn't matter which one's x2 and y2. So this one's going to give me negative 2 plus 8 divided by 2, comma, 15 plus 3 divided by 2. What's negative 2 plus 8? Divided by 2? What's 15 plus 3? Divided by 2? That's it. Alright, here's where we mess up all the time. I'm giving you the midpoint and S. I want you to find R. What did I say to do? Make a table. I have RS and I have the midpoint, so I'm going to name it M. My M is at 7, negative 1. S is at 3, 3. How am I going to find R? See what's happening. How do you go from 3 to negative 1? Minus 4, right? So I'm going to do minus 4 again. What's negative 1 minus 4? Negative 5. Then right here, how do you go from 3 to 7? Plus 4. So what's 7 plus 4? 11. So that tells me that R is at 11, negative 5. Does that make sense? Does that make it easier doing a chart versus doing everything else? Yeah. All right, and last one. JK has an endpoint on the coordinate grid. What will be 1/4 of the way? For 1/4, would y'all rather do the multiplying or would you rather do midpoint of a midpoint? Midpoint of a midpoint? Or you rather do both? You want to do both? Okay, I'll do both. So midpoint of a midpoint is if we have JK, right? If I find the midpoint, where would 1/4 of the way be? It would be right here, right? So first I have to find the midpoint, and then I'm going to do the midpoint of them. So let me do that real quick. So if I have, yes. So the midpoint of JK, which is M, is going to be negative 10 plus 6 divided by 2, comma, 5 plus 9 divided by 2. What's negative 10 plus 6? Divided by 2? Negative 2. What's 5 plus 9? Divided by 2? 7. That's your midpoint. That's my M right here. How do I now find this 1/4? I got to do the midpoint of J and M. Do I know what J is? Yeah, right here. Do I know what M is? Yeah, it's right here. So now I'm going to do we'll call this L. So to find L, I'm going to do J is negative 10 plus this X is negative 2 divided by 2. J is 5 plus 7 divided by 2. What's negative 10 plus negative 2? Divided by 2. What's 5 plus 7? Divided by 2. So that is a fourth of the way. Okay, the other way is if I'm going from J to K. J is my beginning, right? Okay, real quick. What is my, if I were on a graph, right, and I were at negative 10, 5, I'm just going to put it right here, and I were at 6, 9 over here. No, just the mixed practice. How much would I have to rise from J to K? If I'm at 5, how much would I rise to get to 9? I would go up 4. So it's kind of ugly, but I'm going to go up 4. And then how much am I going to run if I'm at negative 10 and I want to go to 6? Up 16. No, right 16. Do you agree? Going up 4, right 16. Now I want 1/4 of the way, so what am I going to do to these numbers? Multiply. Now, before we do that, do you agree J is where I'm starting? And do you agree my X is negative 10 and my Y is 5? Do you agree X is left and right and Y is up and down? Okay. So for my X, if it's 16, what's 1/4 of 16? 4. So I'm going to the right 4, so what am I going to do to this X? Add 4. What's negative 10 plus 4? Be careful. Negative 6. For my Y, I'm starting at 5, and I needed to go, what do I got to do to this 4 right here? Multiply it by 1/4, so what's 4 times 1/4? 1. I needed to go up 1, so what am I going to do to this 5? Plus 1. What's 5 plus 1? Do you see how I got the same answer? Doesn't matter which one. Do we feel a little bit better now? A little bit?